First, let's go to what was described earlier as the Magaluf of the Moorlands, Rudyard. I can't see it myself. I've been there many a time. It's beautiful, but I'm not quite sure it's Magaluf. The beach isn't quite so long. Let's talk to someone who is responsible for what happens in and around there. Ray Perry is a ranger at Rudyard Lake and chairs the Rudyard Lake Trust, which looks after activities on it. Ray, thanks for coming on to the programme today. What was yesterday like from your perspective?
Oh, it was about as close to hell on earth as you could imagine, Stuart, I'm afraid.
Maybe it is the Magaluf of the Moorlands then.
Yeah, all we wanted was, like a Coronation Street pub or something, and we'd be blown in it. I think it's been building and building and building with the good weather, with more and more people coming down with the closure and so on. And I can understand people want to get out. And ever since lockdown, the lake has been open to people walking and cycling and jogging and that kind of thing. But with the weather coming on as it has done, we've obviously lost a lot of money because we've not been open, because we couldn't open, largely down to social distancing. And it's just built to the point where people are just totally ignoring it over the last, ever since we started with the lockdown in part. But latterly, it's just got worse and worse, I'm afraid. And it culminated yesterday afternoon with people swimming and drinking, using vile language, causing havoc in Lake Road with the traffic and the Crescent. All the car parks are overflowing. The access roads all the way out to the main A523 were cars parked on both sides. If there had been an emergency during the afternoon, I don't think an ambulance could have got through, to be honest. It's just people not giving thought to the situation. It culminated last night with a phone call at something like 10:30. Can we get in through your gates? Said the paramedic. We've got someone who's fallen off a wall, and it turned out it all finished about 12:30 last night with the ambulances, the fire engines and so on. A young lady who'd fallen into some bushes about 7 feet from a picnic area on the other side of the lake, and it not put all these people to that. But I'm more concerned, Stuart, honestly, about people swimming as much as anything. When they start swimming, they're opening up a whole gambit of risk for themselves and for other people who perhaps try and rescue them. You haven't got many minutes, perhaps 2 minutes, if you suddenly hit a cold spot in this water. And, there's plenty of those in Rudyard, along with the towers, which are extracting water on a constant basis and the suction that comes from that.
See, the thing is, Rudyard Lake looks beautiful. And, it's lovely. And on a hot day, you can get why people are there. But I do wonder if people forget that actually it is a functional lake, isn't it? It has a purpose. The water is drawn from it for a reason. Just explain, as a beauty spot, it's one thing. But as a working reservoir, where's that water going? What's it feeding?
Well, it's over 200 years old, from 1797, putting water into the Calden and the Trent and Mersey canals. In fact, alongside Stanley and Knipersley pools, there wouldn't be certainly a Calden canal with Stanley and Rudyard putting the water in there. And obviously with the good weather and the boating fraternity getting busy again, more water has to be extracted.
So there's big sort of plug-holey valves is there?
I'm sorry?
So there's valves in there that let the water out and people can get sucked into those.
Controlled every day. It's checked every day for levels. And it's, if I could just mention a gory story from some years ago when 3 lads had a boating accident. 2 of them were found within a matter of a few hours, and the third long body wasn't found for about 3 days, and it turned out to be being sucked into the grill on the exit valve. Oh my
word! So it's a dangerous place. What can you do about it, though, Ray? If there are people abusing you and insisting that they know their rights, they have no right to swim in it, of course. But what can you do about it?
All we can do is rely on, we operate the whole thing on a shoestring. We rely on volunteers. For example, this morning I had a lovely post, Facebook a message from one of the local residents saying she was up early and having seen and heard everything about what happened last night. She was expecting complete devastation on the dam, but she didn't spot one bit of litter. And that's because one of our volunteers has been down there since 6:30 this morning, and he's collected no less than six black bags of rubbish, within a couple of hours this morning. And so going back to the swimming aspect of it, I was just looking before you phoned me that on the webcams here, I'm in Congleton at the moment, but looking at this lovely, the sun's shining, a few people just strolling around, families with children and pushchairs, and no great heavy presence of people at all. And then I just watched a family, a man, a woman, and three children, stroll down the jetty, the pontoon. They've gone past two signs clearly saying no swimming. They put a blanket on the ground, started stripping off down to their swimming shorts, all lined up and all jumped in. If one of those children should suffer from, this cold shock and come up underneath that pontoon, there's no way you're going to get at them. It's, if you're swimming and risk your own life, it really is terribly dangerous. And the other thing in the lake are lots of obstructions, obstacles like old telegraph poles that were put in during the wartime years. They've been cut off as time went on and the water level's gone down, but they're still down there. You jump into a lake and dive and hit one of those, or even old boathouse gates that we can't get out. They're literally trapped in the silt. And they've got spikes on them.
What's your message then? I mean, I can't believe you're sitting in Congleton seeing this happen, and how you must feel when you see that happen and knowing what you know about the lake.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, all I can do is phone the volunteers that are on site, or go down myself now and put my little ranger outfit on and go down and tell them, please get out of the water. And what happens, they won't get out. I can threaten them with trespassing. I can tell them antisocial behaviour, whatever it is. But within moments, they're back here. We need a police presence. And, we've been talking to the police this morning about last night's incident, and apparently, because of the cutbacks in the police, unfortunately, we got to get a Section 34 stated on Rudyard Mill. We're going to get that is by people reporting incidents, either when they're happening or after they've happened, through the Staffordshire Police website, Facebook page.
So, first of all, since you mentioned it, what is a Section 34, and how do you feel about the way the police are dealing with the issues you've got at the moment?
Well, they're very stretched. They came down yesterday down the railway track, and they saw some people trespassing on the Sea Scouts, which is a very special area, for disabled kids and young kids. It has to be kept sterile. And these half a dozen or more late teens, early 20s were diving in off their pontoon and towels on the grass and so on. So the police came along and said, you're trespassing, you shouldn't be swimming. The volunteer then told me within 30 minutes later, they were all back again. I mean, unless you've got 24/7 police patrols, we've got volunteers, some of them come down at night from 12 o'clock through to 7 o'clock in the morning.
It sounds a nightmare, Ray. It really does. Thanks for coming on today. I'm worried about this family now. No, not at all. Not at all. It's so difficult for you. The advice that don't swim in any open water. And if you want to find out more, have a look at the Radio Stoke social media pages, where the Make a Difference details about what happens and the idea of this cold shock and the fact that actually, unless you've been trained to control it, you can't. It's just a natural physiological response that can lead to absolute disaster. Have a look on the BBC Radio Stoke Facebook, Twitter, all our social media. It's all up there at the moment. And the Section 34 that Ray was talking about is the dispersal order. And there have been dispersal orders in various parts of Staffordshire of late. Cannock Chase, there was one. And there was one in Werrington last weekend. In the past, there have been ones in Blythe Bridge too. So maybe that's something that Staffordshire Police can look at. But what a nightmare. Because on one hand, Rudyard Lake is famous as being a destination. 20,000 people at a time in Victorian times, when you used to get the train to it, and people would come from the Potteries and Birmingham and all over the sort of northwestern Midlands to go there rather than go to the seaside, which may be a bit further away. It was kind of an inland seaside, even though it's a man-made lake, as far as I can tell, a reservoir. But now they want it to be popular, but they want it to be popular for the right reasons and not overly popular. Really difficult balance for the team organising that, which is largely voluntary, as far as I can make out. The people who run it all, really, really difficult. Don't swim in open water. I can't emphasise enough. And unless you are one of those people who is trained to do it, or you're supervised, or it's one of these triathlons that they do from time to time, just don't do it. It's really not worth the risk.